Shido Itsuka finds himself in the town of Arario. Puzzled, he encounters and befriends Belle Cranel. Disasters start to occur in the dungeon, prompting the guild to take action, with the adventurers of Loki Familia at the vanguard. However, the child blessed by the spirit Arya, Eyes Wallenstein, suddenly changes. Thus, the incident known as the Eyes Catastrophe begins. Greetings Adventurers, this is Lorne and I'll be your guild advisor for this video. It's been a while since I've done a character analysis, but I thought that this was a rather special occasion considering the Data Live crossover. I'm very fortunate that my three favorite characters from the show, Kurumi, Kotori, and Origami are all getting units, but I am a little saddened that we don't get to see Kotori's spirit form here. Anyway, enough rambling, let's dive into the units. First up is codename Princess Toca. She is a light element physical attacker, as her high strength stat would suggest. Her special arts is an AoE light physical attack with a temporary strength boost. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, pretty standard for an attacking unit. Her first skill is an AoE high light physical attack with a temporary boost and also reduces enemy light resistance by 30% for 2 turns. Her second skill is a single target high light physical attack with a temporary strength boost, and her third skill is a low light physical attack that increases the light damage of your allies by 25% for 3 turns. Toca is a pretty decent physical unit that pairs well with other light-based units, as her skills would suggest. Unfortunately, there is some overlap with Valentine's Eye's light damage buff and New Year Tione's light resistance debuff, but both of Toca's skills have higher percentages, though in the case of Tione's self-light damage buff, Tione's is significantly higher. Toca will work really well with Adventurer Artemis and Roaring Gale Ryu, as they are both light damage based physical attackers and all provide different valuable skills with no overlap. Ryu provides a strength and magic debuff and can also extend the duration of Toca's light resistance debuff, while Artemis increases the strength and counter rate of the party. Moonlight Oath Belle is a good fit as well, also being a light physical attacker and provides a useful magic resistance buff and also a high damaging attack with a chance of stun. Toca will shine the most in AoE encounters like war games when paired with similar light damage units, but she could also get some good use against bosses with a weakness to light. Secondly, we have codenamed Angel Origami. I'm a little iffy on the decision to showcase this particular version of Origami from Data Live, since just the reveal of this unit spoils something that happens in Season 3 of the anime. So to those of you that are wary of spoilers and got introduced to Data Live through this collaboration event, I apologize in the developer's place. Origami is a light damage magic attacker. Her special arts is a single target ultra light magic attack with a temporary magic boost and ultra penetration rate. Her first skill is a single target high light magic attack with a temporary magic boost and reduces enemy light resistance by 20% for 4 turns. Her second skill is a single target medium light magic attack that increases her own magic by 75% for 4 turns. Her third skill is an AoE high light magic attack with a temporary magic boost. For the most part, Origami is oriented towards single target boss fights, like Record Buster, due to her single target special arts. Remember that single target skills deal more damage against single enemies than a comparable AoE attack will. Similar to Toca, you'll want to pair Origami with units that complement the light element. In the case of single target encounters, New Year's Tione and Valentine Eyes again come to mind. After being fully buffed, Origami should deal a more consistent amount of damage when using her special arts because of the addition of an ultra penetration rate that both Tione and Eyes lack on theirs. Toca can also work well with Origami, having a more effective light resistance debuff and light damage buff if you don't have units like New Year Tione and Valentine Eyes. If you are a newer player, Origami is a pretty good starter unit to carry you through story quests due to her debuff and self-buff skills, combined with both a high base damage AoE attack and a single target attack. Do note that Origami has a Spirit Killer ability, allowing her to do 50% more damage against Spirit type enemies. Be on the lookout for the recently announced Data Live Familia Rush coming on April 10th. We'll likely see some Spirit type enemies, which means that the Elven Awakening Lafia some of us have been hiding for so long could work well with Origami, since she is also a light magic unit with Spirit Killer. The next unit is a fan favorite, codename Nightmare Kurumi. I think Kurumi is a particularly special character in Data Live because anytime she is on the screen, you can really feel her presence. She's also just a fun character to watch. And I really like her unit art paired with the clock in the background. Anyway, enough gushing, onto her stats. Kurumi is a dark element balanced unit. She has a rather low strength stat even for a balanced character when compared to Adventurer Artemis, who has 134 more strength at +5. However, damage isn't really the focus of balanced characters, it's their skills. Her special arts is an AoE ultra dark physical attack with a temporary strength boost. This is pretty standard, but as I usually say, you're better off on using your special arts charges on higher damaging units. Her first skill is an AoE low dark physical attack that reduces enemy agility and dark resistance by 35% for 3 turns. Her second skill heals your allies for 15% of their HP and also regenerates 35% of HP at the end of the turn. Her last skill is a single target medium dark physical attack with the ultra penetration rate and stuns the enemy. That first skill of hers immediately makes her a great option for dark element team compositions. Some dark type units that will work well with her are physical units like Lunar and Levi for AoE encounters like Wargames. Halloween Lafia can also work even though she's dark magic. Though Lunar and Kurumi have an overlap when it comes to the agility debuff, Kurumi's is of a higher value and Lunar still offers a good physical resistance debuff for physical teams and can remove enemy magic buffs. There's also no worry about Lunar's lower agility debuff because you are unable to override Kurumi's 35% agility debuff but Lunar's lower 20% one. Kurumi also isn't too bad in single target encounters, being able to pair up with Mikasa quite well due to her dark resistance debuff. Her heal is very interesting because it's based purely on percentages rather than her magic stat, so even if your Kurumi isn't a max limit break, her heal will do the same amount of healing. Altogether, her heal will give back 50% of your health by the end of the turn. At first, those healing values don't seem too high, but Christmas Lily has a similarly valued HP regen skill, and is very effective in war games when paired with units that reduce the amount of damage your enemies dish out. Her final skill, being a single target move that flat out stuns, looks like it could be very annoying in war games, especially in team compositions that like to use a lot of ailments to prevent the enemy from attacking. I think this skill is pretty promising, since it is a fast skill, meaning that Kurumi will use this skill very early in the turn order, preventing her targeted enemy from even moving, provided the enemy doesn't have any stun immunity. We'll just have to see how she plays in war games to gauge how effective that skill is. Kurumi also has the Spirit Killer ability, so she'll be useful against any Spirit type enemies. The final Venture unit in the collab is Devil Princess Eyes. Eyes is actually sporting a Spirit form outfit based off the inverse form of Toca, which I feel is a nice touch, especially considering Eyes' relation to an actual spirit in Danmachi, Arya. Eyes is a dark physical attacker with very high strength. Her special arts is an AoE ultra dark physical attack with a temporary strength boost and removes 2 turns from enemy status buffs. The status buff turn removal is very interesting, but its effectiveness really depends on when that special arts is used, especially in war games. Your enemy's buffs may have already naturally disappeared at the start of turn 5. Her first skill is a low dark physical attack that increases the dark damage of allies by 25% for 3 turns. Her second skill is an AoE high dark physical attack with a temporary strength boost, and also does 25% of your enemy's HP as poison damage at the end of the turn. Her third skill is a single target high dark physical attack with a temporary strength boost. Like most of these collaboration units, Eyes is designed to work well with other units of the same element. Since she is a dark physical unit, this once again brings units like Lunar and Levi to mind. However, in the case of Levi, he already has his own dark damage buff that is more effective than Eyes'. However, if Kurumi is also on the same team, all the dark units will be able to take advantage of Kurumi's dark resistance debuff. Eyes' most interesting skill is her second one because not only does it do a good amount of base damage, but the poison damage component could be very valuable, especially because it is percentage based, meaning that even if the enemy were to debuff your units or buff their own for defensive purposes, the percentage based damage will always be the same, which could be incredibly valuable if your opponent in war games, for example, is using a team composition consisting of many defensive characters like New Year's Tiona and Movie Wealth. The one thing to note, however, is Ceremonial Flame Hestia, a very popular unit in war games because she nullifies the first and sometimes even second ailment that would affect an ally. If you're relying on Eyes' poison, you may want to consider adding other ailment inflictors to your team to take away some of Hestia's initial ailment blocks. Many boss encounters also have poison immunity, so don't plan on relying on the poison too much in those cases. Eyes is not the best character for Record Buster because she has no self-strength buff, but if you're a newer player, she'll do a decent job between her dark damage buff and the high base damage of her last single target attacking skill. Overall though, I'm very curious on how well Eyes will perform in wargames especially. Onto the assist characters. First up is codenamed Ifrit, Kotori in her commander garb. I really wish we could see Kotori in her spirit form, but since my top 3 characters for Data Live all got units, I really can't complain. Most of her stats are pretty decent, but a standout is of course the high strength, equip her to a physical attacker. Her assist skill gives allies 15% HP regen at level 60, 20% at plus 5. Kotori is pretty much the strength version of White Healer Amid, who has the same HP regen, but with the magic stat focus. If you don't have Amid, or if you don't want to grind for the HP regen bunny Hestia in the casino, Kotori is a nice unit to have. Also, if you had the time-limited Crunchyroll Hestia, then you may not find Kotori too desirable, since she provides both strength and HP regen buffs, but keep in mind that her HP regen is not as strong as Kotori's. For some boss encounters, you can actually make a party without a healer if your party has strong enough buffs, debuffs, and armor by just using an HP regen assist to heal, leaving you more room for damage since you have a slot available for an attacker. Second in the assist lineup is that goddess we can't seem to get enough of, Chief Goddess Hestia, sporting Kotori's clothes. Like Kotori, she has a high strength stat. Her assist skill at level 60 decreases enemy agility by 8% and physical resistance by 10%. At plus 5, it becomes a 10% agility debuff and a 15% physical resistance debuff. If you don't already have physical resistance debuffing assists like Titan Eren, Clumsy Detective Anya, or Black Rose Hephaestus, then Hestia is a nice assist to complement a physical team. Plus, the agility debuff helps your units go first in game modes like wargames, where getting the first strike makes a huge difference. And finally, the grindable free unit of the collaboration event is Berserk, Kaguya, and Lily. I'm still sad that they aren't an adventure unit. It would have been cool to see 2 characters share the spotlight as a singular unit. Funny how they're in spirit form but don't fight. They have pretty average stats with the exception of a rather high HP stat at plus 5, being at 1252. Their assist skill at plus 5 reduces AoE damage done to your allies by 7% and increases their charm resistance by 100%. Charm isn't really an ailment we often see, so they won't be too useful for wargames, but if you encounter bosses, like the mermaids in Monsterphilia who use Charm, they'll be a good option. Also, though it's only 7%, the AoE damage resistance will help out newer players who are starting to find their footing in DanMemo, especially it being introduced through this collaboration event. And that wraps up my analysis of the characters in this collaboration. I don't see anything completely game-changing at first glance, but I prefer that to a constant power creep that makes older units less and less viable. Eyes and Kurumi are both units I'm looking forward to watching in wargames to see how they perform, as they have very interesting movesets. Remember that Toca, Kurumi, and Origami will have character weapons introduced with the event, and that you'll be able to get a bond from your choice of Toca or Eyes, and Kurumi or Origami, in the upcoming heroic trials. I wish all of you good luck on your polls during this event, and hope you enjoyed the event's story, as it was written as a group effort between the light novel authors Tachibana-sensei of Data Live and Omori-sensei of Danmachi. I'm particularly interested in knowing what Shida was doing in his cross-dressing form. If you liked this video and would like to see more Danmachi content, please give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. If you want to keep updated on what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter and join my Discord for more Danmachi discussion. And as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring in Rario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, signing out.